Hi everyone, this is Gayle with Tupelo Designs LLC, and welcome to part 3 of my face cane. Today we are going to make the nose, and we're also going to make the cheeks. So I decided I would go ahead and start with the cheeks, and I'm going to be doing this the same way as I did the mouth. Remember the mouth cane that we did last week? I'm going to be doing this the same way, making a Skinner Blend plug, except this time I'm using the blush and I'm using the flesh color. So I am going to go off camera and go ahead and run my Skinner Blend, and we will put the cheeks together. Be right back. Okay, I'm back, and this is blended pretty well. And I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit so it'll be a little bit more square. But again, I'm going to be making a Skinner Blend plug. And I don't think I told you, what I used was the blush color because the center of my lips, the shaded part, the light part of my lips, I used the blush. So I thought this way I know the colors will go together. So I'm going to fold this in half. And then I'm going to run it through with the flesh color first, and I'm going to make it nice and thin. So let me get my clays out of the way so I've got all my parts over here, so I don't want this getting on my cheeks. So I'm going to roll this through the pasta machine. I'm starting off at a number 3 because that's what this was rolled out to. So this is a double thickness of number 3. And I'm going to roll it through one time, which makes it longer. Then I'm going to go down to a number 5. See, that made it even longer. My sides are getting a little raggy, but we'll fix that as we go along. And I'm going to go down again to a number 7. Just because, and I think I explained in the last week's video that the reason I go down so thin is when I roll this up, the thinner this clay is, the less divisions you'll see in the little rings as you roll it up. So okay, so this is on a number 7. Now what I'm going to do is, actually I don't think I need that much deep pink, so I'm just going to cut that off. Just to show you that you're not stuck with your whole blend. If you don't like the way it turned out, just cut part of it off. It's okay. And I'm going to just fold a little piece over and pat it down from the center so that there's no air. And then I'm going to just roll with my fingers. Make this into a little snake. And just make sure you're not getting any air in it, that it stays smooth against the clay. Then I'm going to take my acrylic plate, my little square, and you can press the ends in to help, fill in. If you've worked with clay before, you know that sometimes the ends get a little funny. So just roll a little bit and then stop and press the ends. And I hope I didn't, no I didn't. I thought I messed up my flesh color. And then roll some more. Just make sure that you're rolling it tight so that no air is getting in there. And I'll stop one more time and press the ends. Then I will finish rolling. There. Got a little bit of smudge on the end, but you'll see that you won't be able to tell that. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to first cut off these ends. See how that goes in? I'm just going to cut that off to eliminate the air that's in that end. This one has got too much pink, so I'll cut that off. So now we're in good shape. And what I'm going to do is roll this. Let me put this down. Roll it and stretch it until it's double the size that it was. And let me get out my, I've got my lip cane. Here's my lip. You want it at least that long, and you want it double the size, so I need to go a little bit smaller. And I do see a little puff of air right there. So you just cut a little slit and press it out and seal it back. Let me measure this. My lip is 2 1/4 inches, so this needs to be 4 1/2. Look at that, 4 1/2. So I'll cut it at 2 1/4, and there we have cheeks. Now, since this has already got the flesh on the outside, you don't need to cover it with flesh. So now we've got the cheeks, the mouth, and where did my eyes go? They're up here somewhere. Here's my eyes. That one goes on this side. And this one goes on this side. So can you see we're getting there? But I think I will wrap the eyes in flesh because I don't want the eyes next to the cheeks like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set these aside because everything looks like they're in proportion. Let me run a thin layer of flesh. Pardon me for just a minute while I do that. That's on the number 3. I'm going to go down to a number 5. I'm not going down to number 7 on this one. I'm just going down to number 5. Because we just need enough to wrap the eyes in. So I'm going to lay that down. Cut a straight edge there, and I'm going to slice off that end here because it's kind of messed up of the eye. Let me make sure I've still got 2 1/4 inches. How about that? And let me trim this while we're here before I wrap. There we go. So I'm going to just roll this around and trim that off. And this one isn't quite big enough. I'm going to have to roll this through the pasta machine again. Sorry about that. Be right back. Sorry about that. I can be very frugal with my clay. I just can't stand to waste clay. And if you could see my scrap pile over here, you would see what I mean about couldn't stand to throw away clay, because I have got scrap clay that I have had for years. And that will probably be part of my destash when the time comes to destash, which will be after Christmas. Okay, so let's see what we've got now. This one goes this. Well, I kind of lost some of my eyebrow there. So I've got there. Those are the two eyebrows. I think this is the better way. Do it that way. And the cheeks. And the mouth. So now we need to give this lady a nose. So that will be the next thing. Next we'll do the nose. Okay, we're going to start now on the nose. And I have taken my flesh colored clay and I've measured the height of my cane, and so I trimmed it off to match that. And what I'm going to do is, you can do two things. You could either roll this into a oblong, or you can cut two pieces. This is rolled out on the thickest setting of the pasta machine. Put them together. Now remember, this is going to go this way. And let me just trim this even. And I'm going to round the ends, the sides, take these sides and round them a little bit. Now you could, like I said, you could just roll a long snake of clay and then flatten it out, and it would probably be a little rounder. Or you could do it this way, whichever way is easiest for you. I just chose to do it this way. And I'm rounding off the sides. And I'm going to roll it on my work surface just to make it round, at least on one side. I think I've elongated it some, and I have. So let me cut that off. So let me just see how this is going to look. Well, I cut it off too much. Let me stretch it out a little bit. If I put that in there, I think that'll work just right. Now what I'm going to do is take a very, very thin piece of light brown clay. This is still the raw sienna. And let me just soften this a little bit before I put it in my pasta machine. But I'm going to roll this out on a very thin setting, because this is actually going to be the end of the nose. And you don't want to make it too big, because you don't, when you start reducing this, the components are going to be a little bit farther apart than they are like putting them right here. They'll be a little bit farther apart. And if you make this too big, then this poor lady is going to have a huge nose. But I have softened this, warmed it up a little bit, and I'm going to roll it on the, let me see how thin it looks on the number 5 setting. think that will work. And I think this is going to be the side I'm going to put it on. And I'm going to, actually I think the easiest thing would be to set this here. And cut off the end. And then just cut off each side and just leave a very little bit to come up each side. Can you see how much I left there? I just left a very little bit. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Well, I just messed up my face, but that's alright, it's just sitting there. Alright, and then I'm just going to take this and curve it up on each side. Like I say, you don't want this to be very big. So you can see it's just covering the end here. And this is actually going to become the nose. So let me put this back in place. And put this nose in there. And this is just going to be a shadow because the flesh part is going to kind of disappear into the let me just lay these down. It's going to kind of disappear into the face of the the actual face. So let me put these two together. Let me make this a little bit narrower. And just kind of do a dry fit again. Put the cheeks in here. And the mouth. And you can see our face, or some of it. And all of these empty spaces, this space here, this space on either side, all of this needs to be filled in with flesh colored clay. So I think I'm going to try maybe I'll just start at the top, and hopefully I have enough clay here to do all this. If not, I'm going to have to try to blend some more clay, and I'll never get the same color again. But let me do it this way. Take a long snake about this size and fill in the space here. If I could see what I was doing, I could do a much better job there. And let me do another one. Another thing you can do if you happen to have an extruder is you can extrude triangles and circles and squares so that they could all fit in together. I'm just making some rough shapes here. Should have done that one into a snake, but this one was perfect for something else. So let me roll this one into a snake. And I'll put another snake next to that one. Or if you, like I said, if you want, another thing you could do, instead of putting little circles, you've got this that's the height of your cane. So take a flat piece and put it in there. And if it's easier to leave these down here, then that's fine. You can do that. And let me cut another piece and put beside that. And see, that helps to fill in that space. Whoops. So don't try to do things with one hand. Excuse me. But there, that's going together right there. And let me lay these cheeks on because the eyes are getting a little out of shape here. So let me lay one cheek on there. And see here, that's like a little triangle. So that's the other cheek. Let me take this and pinch this snake into a little triangle. You just have to take your time and fill in all these spaces. On this side. So I'll put this little triangle up in here. And that'll fill in that space. So I need another little snake. Now you can watch this. I know it's difficult to follow along because you know, I'm doing things kind of not in any particular order. I'm just trying to fill in some spaces. So I may cut out some of this part of the video and just show you the end. And that might make it, you know, make it not so tedious for you. But I just wanted to show you, if nothing else, just how to shape these different little components to fill in the spaces. I'm going to stick that triangle down in there on that side of the nose. Then I can lay the cheek on there. And you see we still have these two places here. And they look kind of round, so I'm going to just put snakes in there. But just fill in as much as you can, and then when you squeeze this together, all this clay will end up filling in all the little gaps. But try to fill in as much of the gap as you can with clay. Otherwise, it's going to really distort when you try to reduce the entire face. Now, I thought I was going to get all of this done in this video. I may end up, because the video is getting a little long, I may end up finishing this and adding the hair in the next video so that this one doesn't get too long. You see, you can see here how I'm filling in the spaces. Try to keep your eyes straight and look on both ends. And when you put the mouth on here, see, that'll, well, it's upside down, but that will fit right up in there. Might want to add a little piece right here. I'll just take this and roll it and then flatten it out. You roll and then flatten and put that right under the nose, so there will be some separation between the nose and the mouth. And then let's see how the mouth fits up in there. Keep wanting to put it on upside down. May need a little bit more of the flesh-colored clay. So I think what I'm going to do is take this that I had planned on using for something else and just flatten it out. I only need it about that wide just to fit in there. Now before you pack it in there too tight, let's put the mouth back on and see what that looks like. I think that's too much space between the nose and the mouth. You know, you want a little bit of space, but you don't want too much, so let's just roll this a little flatter. Like I said, before you press anything down, always fit it in there and look at it and see if it's the way you want it. I think that's better. So I'm going to continue filling this in, and I may be able to do that on this video, and then we'll just work on the hair and the extra little pieces on the next video. So let me condition, or not condition, but warm this clay up and roll it out to thin sheets, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I've rolled out the rest of my flesh, so this is going to be it. So if we need any more, it's going to be difficult. I probably should fill in these on the side, but I think what I can do, because I'm short of clay, that's why I said please make as much as you think you'll need, and I thought I had plenty, but of course, what do they say, the best laid plans. They say mice and men, but works for women too. I'm going to pinch some triangles to press here on the side, just to make this a little bit rounder so that I don't get too much distortion. See these creases here on the side? I'm just filling those in. And let me just stretch this out a little bit to put in there. The rounder you can make your cane, the easier it's going to be to reduce it. And I need to do the same thing on this side. I'm just rolling some ropes. Now, I shouldn't have done it that way, because just as sure as anything, I'm going to end up with air in here. You've probably noticed by the time I get to the end of a project, I start doing things a little bit quickly. I am so impatient. And that's why I keep emphasizing to you to take your time, because I don't, and it usually ends up in disaster. There's so many things that would have turned out so much better if I had just taken my time. But let me go ahead and fill in this side. Just put the point down in that little section there. There. That will probably make it easier. And then from there on, you just, I'm going to put this across the top. Now the good thing about running out of clay now is I would have probably cut off some of the top anyway when I add hair and bangs. The ideal way to do a face cane is to make this round, and which would include a forehead, but then you turn around and cut the forehead off when it's time to add hair. So I'm just going to add this extra clay to the sides, and just remember when I'm reducing not to make it round. But then you just kind of squeeze it together. Start in the middle so you can squeeze out any air. And like I said, I normally would have added more up here to make this more round, but since I ran out, there isn't going to be any to add. And I will just fill that in with, that's the last of my flesh color, but I'll just fill it in with hair. So let me see if I can get this squeezed together so we can take a slice and see what it's going to look like. You just need to get all of these components pressed together and get all the air out. So let me just take a slice off, take the end off. And it still needs a little squeezing, but there's our face so far. It's not bad, but just see, all we have is just the little hint of a nose. It's more like a shadow. So this is our face, and there's so much you can do with this face, but I am going to leave it just like this, and in the next video I will show you how to add hair, and that will complete our face cane. And as I press on this, you'll see these little holes, the little air pockets will start closing in. See, that's closed in a lot already. There's only a couple little tiny holes, and like I said, they would, as I reduce, those will disappear. Disappear. So there is our face cane. If you want perfection, you don't want to do it in polymer clay. Or if you do want perfection in polymer clay, you have to make a really big cane. The big canes are easier to get detail in, but they're very difficult to reduce. And when you get a big cane like this, and then you try to reduce it, you end up with a mile of cane, and you may only want 6 inches for something. But anyway, there is my face cane. I hope you've enjoyed that, and we will come back next week when I will show you how to add hair to your lady's face, or to your man's face. You might have fixed a man or a child. But we will do all that next time. So come back again next week and we will finish up our face cane. And as usual, don't forget, shop at TupeloDesignsLLC for all your crafting needs, where shipping is Greyhound fast and free. Thanks. Bye-bye.